everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just got done watching episode 6 of Skeleton Crew on New Year's, by the way. Happy New Year. And yeah, this one was a pretty self-contained little episode. It almost entirely took place on the spa planet from last episode. And really it was just the kids having to deal with the aftermath of, being betrayed by Jod as he, took control of the ship, became captain, but of course he is immediately captured by the pirates who were still on the planet, and it's kind of funny. He tries to talk his way out of that, and you almost think for a minute that maybe he's going to be able to talk all the pirates into joining him and overthrowing the Wolfman, Beerus, or no, not Beerus, that's Dragon Ball Z, I think. Anyways, but of course he manages to kind of explain, like, look, there is a Dadatin, I can take you there, and so he's essentially still their captive, but these pirates, their allegiances may change, so they might end up siding with him over the Wolfman once they find out that Dadatin is indeed real. So who really knows? But of course he has a lightsaber, which was taken away from him. I kind of thought maybe we would see him ignite the lightsaber for a second and try to fight off the pirates, but that hasn't happened yet. So I feel like we are going to have a moment where he is going to ignite that lightsaber and save the kids or something. Like he's gonna, this is all going to come full circle where he fulfills that idea of the Jedi that Wim believes that he is, right? Like oh, you're a Jedi. It just makes sense for the story to start with the kid reading all these Jedi stories and believing that this is a thing in the galaxy and this is gonna happen, and then he meets this guy who knows the Force, but he's like a shady character, and so he proves to be a pirate, a bad guy. But I feel like that would be like the perfect full circle moment for Wim, for him to be saved by this grown adult who can use the Force, wielding a lightsaber, and like it kind of like brings the whole dream full circle for him. I think that'd be pretty cool. So I'm still expecting that to happen. And whether or not we find anything more else about Jod, like what his past really is, like all we really get in this episode is he's talking to the pirates and he's trying to like basically persuade them, be like, hey, I'm hungry. I've always been hungry, not like for food, but like for treasure and for, we're feeding off the scraps of the galaxy. We've always had to like just barely scrape by, but what if there was a place where we could have anything we wanted? And that's his whole pitch for them. But anyways, we'll see if anything comes of that. But with the kids, they're basically stranded on this planet now. They have a disagreement about like how to get back to the ship, because they've they use that little trap door, they fell all the way to the bottom of the cliff, and now they got to climb all the way back up. So two of them, Neil and Fern, climb all the way back up the mountainside, which was very dangerous, and Fern and KB have this big disagreement about it. And basically the whole show we've been kind of wondering, like, so what's wrong with KB? Because her parents were like, oh, yeah, she's got medical needs, we're really concerned about that, and we've kind of been waiting for that to be a thing, like, okay, at some point something's gonna go wrong because she's got some kind of medical problems, and they haven't really explained what it was yet, other than obviously the what would you call it, the thing that she's got, the droid parts that she's got on her head. So what we really learn is that by going into the steam area of this spa, it's corroded some of the inside parts, and we really get a good look of like, oh, it's not just like a little visor that she's got on, like this is attached to her skull, like on the inside, like there's like a back panel that opens up, and it's kind of a horrifying thought, but like, yeah, this thing is like implanted. This is part of her brain now. So Wim there has to basically help her take a bunch of old droid parts and really quickly melt together this little piece that they need to replace and put back in there. That way she's able to actually move again, because she was shutting down. And they're following these little crabs that their plan is to follow these crabs that just keep on repeating whatever he's saying. They're like, follow, follow, follow. And I don't know, look, they're kids. He gets this idea like, oh, look, they're locals, they can talk. that means that they can help us. But he doesn't seem to realize that they're just repeating words that he is saying. He says the word follow, they say the word follow. He says home, they say home. Like, that's but they, of course, they end up taking him to I guess their mother crab, this giant monster that tries to eat them. I found it interesting that the giant monster didn't say any words. I thought maybe it would speak or something, but no, it's just, you know, big monster like the ones you fight in Jedi Fallen Order. Giant crab you gotta fight off. And they all managed to get saved by the other two, who, like, I guess the Onyx Cinder was being sent to be demolished. I guess they were just gonna throw it away. And so it's being thrown away into the trash. They hitch a ride on one of those little transports, and they manage to save the other four. And then they get in the ship, and now it's being demolished in this giant, like, I don't know what you would call this, trash compactor type thing. And so they have to press the button that they were told never to press, which, of course, you know, it's a show. You know, the second that he said never press this button, you knew it was going to get pressed at some point. So of course they managed to press it, and what it really does is that it kind of just like sheds the whole outer layer of the ship. And I guess maybe it's only like the whole back half of the ship that really gets saved, but it kind of like sheds its skin, and now it's like a really sleek, better looking ship, honestly. And I don't know why they said never to press it. Maybe it just doesn't have all the same shields, and maybe the same, like, it doesn't have all the turret guns that the other one had. I don't know. I'm curious as to like what's the downside specifically, because it seemed to be like a perfectly like applicable situation here to, like, I don't know, maybe it's because it's smaller. I don't know if that's the idea, like, oh, it's just a smaller ship, so if you press it we lose half our ship. I don't know. But in any case, it's a really cool design. I like the ship's design now. So they'll probably call it something else, but yeah, pretty cool. It's an interesting idea. It kind of reminds me of in Solo, when the Millennium Falcon had like that piece installed in the front, and so they were able to like eject that off, and then now it looks different, you know. So I kind of like that, the way that it looks now. But yeah, the kids escape. They have a route to AT-ATN now because it was in KB's memory, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's the whole episode. Not a whole lot of like plot development happens, but a lot of character moments. You know, Fern has to learn that, hey, not everyone can do what you do. You know, like we kind of covered that when Neil is climbing, and when KB has to, like, she feels like she can't tell her friend, like, hey, I basically have a disability, and you know, I'm a kid. I try to pretend like, oh yeah, I can do everything all the other kids can do, but like I can't go into, you know, steam areas, or all my parts are gonna get all messed up, you know. So Fern has to kind of learn these lessons as a leader, you know. And I think that's really a good thing, is that, like, because these are kids, having these moments where they have to learn like really basic things like that, it works for the show, you know. Like, I don't feel like, oh, this is just a filler episode, you know. It's like, no, these are kids who need to learn these life lessons to become better leaders, better listeners, you know, like basic stuff like that, you know. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. So I don't know, I really enjoyed this episode. We still have 2 more to go, so it does feel like the show has successfully set up what the finish line is. You know, we have the pirates, and now we have the kids, 2 different groups, both heading to the same place. They both have coordinates to it, so I don't think there's going to be any more detours. Like, we're not going to have, like, next episode go to some other planet where we do some other adventure. It's like, no, we're pretty much going to head right to AT-ATN, and I think the next 2 episodes are going to be spent answering questions, pretty much. Like, who is the supervisor? What's going on with this planet? Why is there this barrier? Like, not even the New Republic knows about this. A bunch of stuff like that, you know. And then, of course, how's this all gonna work out? I imagine that Jod or Dash or Silvo or whatever you want to call him, I imagine that he's gonna, again, have his lightsaber moment, and he's gonna actually save the kids against the pirates, and, you know, he's actually gonna be a legitimate hero. But also, we still need to kind of uncover what's happening on AT-ATN. It feels very sinister. The droids seem to be in charge of everything, really. Even the adults don't really understand everything that's happening. Like, no one's ever seen the supervisor, so, like, who the hell is it? Is it the pirate guy? Who knows? I guess that would be one of the only twists that makes sense at this point, if it was the pirate, like he did survive the crash. Although I'm remembering that in the first episode they saw some bodies on the ship, so I don't know, maybe was one of those the captain? Did they establish that already? I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, I continue to enjoy the show. Not a whole lot like plot-wise happened in this episode, but I enjoyed the character moments. I think it definitely helped, like, especially on the pirate side. Like, the pirates are just bad guys. We haven't actually gotten to know them as characters, and I feel like this episode helped at least a little bit. Like, we focused in on a couple of individual pirates that you can be like, okay, these are the ones that will probably side with Silvo and help him escape or whatever, overthrow Wolfman. So, we do at least have some of the pirates that might turn good. Pretty cool. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about episode 6 of Skeleton Crew, and Happy New Year. I'll see you guys later. Bye.